Evening. Hi, how are we? Welcome to Trans Q&A on your Tuesday evening. It's been a bit hectic, so you'll have to forgive. I've just got back from the gym. It's been one of those really hectic days, and my lovely co-host and friend Lizzie is not feeling very well. Her voice is dying, so please be gentle with her tonight. Are you going to say hello, Liz? Can we? Do you think we can manage a hello?
I think we can.
Just about.
Just about.
Okay. It's really cute. I like it. I think it suits you. Right, guys. Tonight's topic, opening topic. We wanted to try and talk about our experiences of coming out at work. And Liz and I have very different experiences of coming out of work, coming out at work. Out of work is another thing altogether. We'll talk about that another time. I'm essentially self-employed. I run my own business or work in a family business. Whereas Liz, you work for quite a big company, I think.
I do, yes. I work in the corporate world. So, yeah, I'm not going to mention which company it is.
No, I don't blame you.
Just in case there are any people who might want to contact my company for any reason.
We get a lot of complaints. I can imagine there's going to be some complaints before the end of this, to be honest. So.
Yes. Yeah. So, I work in finance, and I'm a data architect. So yeah, and I've been with the company for many moons. So I actually came out there, which was fabulous. So, sorry, I'm just trying to log into my Twitter account.
Okay, whilst Liz is trying to log into her Twitter, I mean, the reason that we want to talk about this is although, Pippa's asking, how long have we been live for? 3 minutes, Pippa, which is, it's already going wrong at 3 minutes in. It doesn't bode well for the rest of it, does it? Pippa's my cousin, by the way, so everybody say hi. Hi, Pippa. She just got back from America, and she's been doing some amazing work with people with special needs out in the States, which is really cool. The reason that we wanted to do this topic is that, let's face it, for the bulk of us, we do have to work. People do have to work. So if you might not be able to work, or you might not have to work, which is really, okay, that's fine. But the bulk of us have to work. And regardless of your circumstances, yeah, I can see that nod, yeah. Regardless of your circumstances, be that you work for a big organization like my colleague, or indeed that you don't, that you work for essentially for yourself, I think there is some definite common aspects towards that coming out. A lot of this, I think, because when was coming out day, Liz? Was it the 11th National Coming Out Day? Was it last week?
Yeah, I think it's something like that.
It was the 11th last week. And I don't know about you. I mean, I don't know about you, but I remember sort of thinking that coming out and telling my family was sort of just the end of it, that it was all just going to stop after that. It'd be fine. You're out. But then slowly but surely you realize, oh, hang on a minute, I've got to come out to these people, and then these people, and then these people. And I think one of the differences, I think, with perhaps a trans person coming out to a gay or a lesbian or a non-binary person coming out is that, I'm choosing my words carefully here, but let's face it, I'm 5'11" with fairly broad shoulders and a voice that sounds, well, it's not quite as bad as Liz's today, but a voice that sounds like Danny Dyer in a cement mixer. It's whatever. We're not here to pick it up. But my point is that coming out isn't really a choice. It's not really an option. It's just something that happens. It's regardless of whether or not I decide to tell people or let people know that I'm trans. People sort of know anyway most of the time, right? Which I think to a degree takes the edge off of it. But why don't we start with, because my story goes on, as you know, like with every story I tell, it goes on and on and on and on and on and on. So why don't we start with your story? Are you happy to share a bit of that for us?
That's fine.
Let's do it. Let's hear Liz's story.
So yeah, so I mentioned in some of the previous videos that I made the decision to transition in January 2014. So between then and the 2nd of June 2014, I reached out to my doctor. I spoke to my family and everything. But probably around the February, March time, I spoke to my HR manager. And what I'd done in preparation for this was I'd looked at other people's coming out stories. And one that kind of resounded with me was that some people had written a letter. So I thought, do you know what? That's what I'm going to do. And I'm so glad I did. But I mean, basically, I put a bit of the background, how I'd come to this decision, how I'd told my family, my GP were involved, and, you know, made it quite heartfelt. And I had this meeting with my HR manager, and I was so terrified. I was absolutely petrified. So I just said, can you just read this letter? And she sat there in silence, reading it, the odd smile. And I was just like, oh my God, oh my God. And the first thing she said to me was, thank you so much for me being the first person you've told. And I was like, oh my God. So following on from that, we had lots of secret meetings and started telling senior management that I planned to transition. And I spoke to them all and said, you know what, I want to do this soon, but I want it to be on a timescale that suits the business. It was only a small business at the time. I say I work for a big corporate now. They bought the company I worked for. So, you know, we were under a lot of pressure. There were always short timescales, and I just thought, I'm going to try and make this as easy as possible for the rest of the team, because it's quite a big upheaval getting the IT team to change all your name on the systems and everything like that.
They're a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, so we went through a lot of these clandestine meetings, and I got a call from the CEO one day, and he said, do you want to come up and have a chat? And it's like, yeah, that's great. And he said,
always a yes. If ever the CEO asks you to come up and chat, it's either brilliant news or you're getting sacked. But
yeah, so I went and had a chat with him, and he said, do you know what? We're ready. So how about you take next week off? So this was my plan, by the way. I was going to take a week off, and then everyone could be told. So he was like, take next week off. And I was like, we're under a really tight schedule at the moment. He said, just do it. We'll manage. So I took that week off, and during that week there was a sudden announcement. I think it was on the Wednesday, and all teams were gathered in their separate areas with their own line managers.
Yeah.
And my letter was read out to them, and a photograph that I'd specifically chosen, which wasn't too bad, was shared with them. And I had two letters, actually, one for my team. Both were identical, but the one for my team said, let's meet up for lunch on Friday before I come back. And do you know what? I put my personal email address in that letter, and I got hundreds of, well, not hundreds, there were only 200 people, but it felt like hundreds of really positive messages.
That's really cool.
You know, it was brilliant. So many people just saying so many nice things.
So would you say generally it was a positive experience?
It was really positive. And I turned up at work on the Monday, having been for lunch with my team, and a few people cottoned on what was happening and joined us as well, and it was lovely. Yeah. Got to my desk, and there I was expecting some sort of fanfare, and there was a card from one of the girls in my team, and then someone walked up. Yeah, that was it. Oh, no. And someone walked up to me, who's a really good friend now, and she said, "Morning, Liz. We've got a meeting now." And I was like, "Shit, okay." Yeah. And that was it. But in a way, it was really nice, because there wasn't a big fanfare. There wasn't a big fuss. Yeah. It was just, "You're Liz. Let's get on with work."
No, exactly. And you know, the truth is, there shouldn't need to be some big song and dance about it, should there? Yeah. It's you're just, you know, just letting everybody else catch up with what's been going on in your life for a long time. So it's not an awful lot to write home about, really.
Yeah. So I think from that experience, one of the things that I really learned was, you know, for me, it was really hard to actually vocalize it in the first instance. So having done that letter, and it took me took me a couple of weeks to write it. I wanted to keep it short, but I wanted it to tell everything.
That's fair enough.
And you know, I think that was incredibly helpful for me to get through that first meeting, but also because it was shared with senior management, so before they'd even spoken to me, with my permission, of course.
Well, that must have helped. I mean, it's sometimes I think a lot of the problem is just finding the right words, and if you can just take that moment to sort of, oh, wait a minute, I've already had a chance to get the words together, and here they are. It probably helps quite a bit, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's really sweet. But it seems to have gone really well for you. I think work have been, from what you've told me over the years anyway, work are pretty supportive, aren't they, as well?
Yeah. I mean, I am a data architect now, but I was a software engineer at the time, and so I worked on the techie floor. I still do, actually. And there were some people, because I know some of the technical guys are really sort of very insular and quite shy and don't know what to say in certain circumstances. And it took them a little while, but everyone else was just amazing. And yeah, I mean, the most amazing moment was I had to do a late shift with one of the guys in my team to do a release. And I said, you know, we were just sat there, we'd done it all, and we were just making sure everything was working. And I said to him, look, we haven't talked about this. You know, how do you feel? And he said, do you know what? When you first walked into that office, all I saw was a woman. And it was like, oh my God.
Problem solved, right?
It was just brilliant. So yeah, I have had no problems at work whatsoever. They've been incredibly supportive.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so yeah.
So would you go as far as to say, I don't think we should be really giving tips or advice on here, but by the sound of it, I think you'd probably endorse writing a letter just to make sure that you've got it all sort of worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's different for everyone.
I mean, God forbid we ever actually helped anybody by doing this, you know.
But you know, I've heard about people just turning up at work and it's either been fine or it's gone disastrously wrong.
Yeah, that's kind of nuclear option, isn't it?
Yeah, I think just laying the groundwork a bit and taking a gentler approach, and working with the people that you are going to be involved in this.
Exactly.
And then it went smoothly for me, and I am lucky. I've got a friend who, as I may have mentioned, worked for a different company, and you know, it seemed to be going well, and then suddenly they started getting really bad reviews, and eventually they were laid off and reached a settlement out of court. But anyway, you know, these things happen.
It's difficult, isn't it? I mean, the issue with, I mean, there are discrimination laws in place, but the issue is proving it. It doesn't take an awful lot for a company to suddenly decide they're going to set you unrealistic targets that you can't reach, and then you haven't got the proverbial leg to stand on. And it's definitely something that, you know, I'm aware of in my position, because I don't have an HR company or an HR department I can turn around to. You know, if a client was to decide that we just don't want to work with you anymore, there's not an awful lot that I can do about it. Touch wood. It's not been a problem. It hasn't been an issue. But yeah, I mean, there's not really a way to solve this discrimination issue, because people will always find a way. You know, if there's one thing that's that people will find a way to do, it's they'll find a way to hate something, won't they? And you know, if they can find any excuse to work around it, then they will. But more to the point, positive, you're doing okay. It's going okay for you. And you know, I don't think I've had anybody turn around and try and throw me out or anything like that either, actually.
No, I think generally people are.
I'm not being trans anyway. I mean, I've been thrown out of plenty of places, but that's a different story.
That doesn't surprise me. But
is it not?
Yeah, I think generally speaking, most people are fine. And I think there's that intrepidation because a lot of people haven't knowingly met a trans person, and they don't know what it's about.
No.
So yeah, I mean, now I do quite a bit of stuff in our LGBT group. Particularly on my site, because there's a gay guy who helps out on that sort of stuff. And we do all sorts of bits. So, we did Ida Hobbit, and I got the flags put up on the flagpoles.
Oh, really? Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and we did a presentation. I tried to drive up ally membership.
Did your company get involved in Pride then?
They do. And I did go to Pride in London with them on the fateful year that the Get the L Out were protesting.
Oh.
Yeah, I've kind of like been there, done that. I went to Trans Pride this year, and I felt, that was so much nicer because it wasn't too overblown corporate.
No, I get that. I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's brilliant to have that corporate level of responsibility, and if we can get that engagement at the top level, and try and make people understand why having a diverse and inclusive workforce is, well, it's a good way to build resilience in your organization besides anything else.
Yeah.
We can do that, but there's a fine line, I think, isn't there, between sort of we're just going to stick rainbows all over everything for a month or so, and we're actually going to do something to help. So it's nice to hear that the people you're working with are actually doing,
and actually
not just
yeah, we have a women's network, and I'm always invited to things on that, and I'm part of the committee, so they asked me to join it. So it's not just LGBT stuff, and it's really nice that they've they recognize the fact that I'm a woman, and I should be playing a role in that sort of stuff.
Well, this is it. I mean, this is true inclusion, isn't it? It's not you're included, but only in this bit. It's not intersectional even. It is proper inclusion, isn't it? I think that different words get thrown around, but they've actually got very different meanings. I mean, integration is different to inclusion. What's the phrase that drives me crazy? They talk about, particularly about the UK, they talk about being a multicultural society. Well, it shouldn't be. It should be an inclusive society.
Yeah.
Where all the cultures are living together, as opposed to, well, here's some culture here, and there's another culture over there, and there's a third one down at the bottom. That's what real inclusion is. It's having no barriers to you getting on and being you in the workplace. So, high five. Yeah, it sounds like you're. I don't know if we can do a virtual five. We probably could.
It's really hard because
it's really hard. Yeah, no, it's back. My hand gets stuck there. Right. Anyway, look. Thank you so much, because it really does help that you share this story, and in fact, that's it's why we're doing this, isn't it? The whole point of this, everybody that's watching, is that let's face it, we are two pretty normal, fairly boring. What's this? No, we are pretty normal and pretty boring.
I can't do
Middle Ages they come, I think. I don't want to cast aspersions here, Liz, but let's face it. And just to know that anyone, if I can do it, there's no reason that anybody else can't. I suppose is probably. Shall I share a bit of my story?
Yeah, please do.
I think we should.
Yeah, I'm going to be really rude. I'm just going to go and stir my dinner because I don't want to stir.
The professionalism. I have no. That's just right. Okay. So the reason that we wanted to both get on here tonight and share the two different stories is because they are vastly different sets of circumstances. Liz, as she's pointed out, she works for a large business, a large corporation, and there was people there that actually helped her sort of manage that transition, that process. I don't. I'm very fortunate in that I work with my family, which is amazing. I'm very, very lucky to be able to work with people that care about me, which is an amazing thing. And to say that they've been supportive is an understatement. But in terms of coming out at work, it was a bit of a peculiar situation, really, because I suppose because I work with family, coming out to family was coming out to work. So it was a little bit sort of all or nothing. This is going to go one way or the other. I'm either going to be either accepted and getting on with it, or basically homeless, jobless, and without a family. So it took me a while to pluck up the courage to have that conversation. Let's say it took me about 30 years to pluck up the courage to have that conversation, but whatever. The thing is, that isn't really where it stopped. yeah, cool. The boss knows, and I suppose in some respects, like Liz was saying, that you've had the conversation with the main person, or sort of the boss that needs to know, but then there's everyone else. Without going into too much detail, because it's a bit boring, to be honest, the nature of my work means that I see a regular set of clients, and I generally see them sort of once or twice a year. And so sending out an email to all and sundry wasn't really going to do it for me. There was no way that I could really just gather everyone together. I mean, I suppose I could have had like a massive coming out party or something like that, but it felt a little bit, didn't really feel right. So as each appointment was coming up for the first year, basically, within a sort of a few weeks before, just to call and speak to those people, just to make sure that the appointments were still okay, to check times and dates in diaries, and to say that I had the conversation once. I mean, literally, and I mean literally, it would have been over 100 different people with whom I had to have the conversation. I'll admit, the first time it was quite difficult because I didn't really know what to say, and I found myself stumbling over the words because I didn't have I didn't have a letter. I hadn't, sort of probably should have thought ahead. Actually, Liz, I should listen to you more often. You know that, but I didn't have a letter or sort of an all points bulletin. I was sort of just winging it. You know me, just wing it. And I definitely stumbled over my words the first time. Well, so I'm transgender, and it means I'm being treated for gender dysphoria. And before you know where you are, you've got this really technical sort of, and it all just falls apart. Eventually, after sort of 4 or 5 tries at this, and I had plenty of tries over the last year or so, after 4 or 5 tries at this, I decided to try and be a little more, what's the word, relaxed about the situation. And I think the conversation now goes something along the lines of, we talk about all the stuff that we need to talk about, and the appointment, and blah, 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 blah. And, you may have noticed my voice has changed a little bit since we last spoke. And most people say something to the effect of, well, yeah, I had noticed, trying to be polite, I think. And then I say, well, yeah, it's not just my voice that's changed. I've changed my name as well. And my new name is Samantha. And I think the rest is probably quite self-explanatory, to be honest. And yeah, I mean, in fairness, it works. It's sort of, it puts it out in plain terms. It gives people a chance to understand it. I haven't been being particularly, what's the word, technical or clinical about it. And, well, truth be told, I would say 60 to maybe even as high as 75% of the people to whom I spoke said, well, yeah, it was pretty obvious that's what was going on. I mean, my hair had been growing for a long time, right? So I think that it wasn't all that big a shock to a lot of people. But you know what? Being realistic, I've been welcomed into all of my clients, and any new clients that I've been to see. Because with new clients, I don't feel the need to tell them I'm trans. They meet me as me. They didn't know me prior to my transition, so there's no real need to come out to them. Or real desire. There's no real want to come out to them unless it's suddenly relevant, which it isn't in most cases. So yeah, I mean, they open arms, really. A few polite questions, should we call them polite? Polite, what's the word I'm looking for? Liz? Curiosity, I think.
Probably, yeah.
There's definitely an element of that. There's definitely an element of polite curiosity with quite a few of the people. But like anything, I mean, what are we doing right now? I'm literally sat with a friend over there on the internet, and she's got it. She's got the hang of it. Did you see? She pointed the right way.
Yes. It's so hard.
The point is that I am an open book, and I think you're pretty open as well, aren't you? To be honest, in terms
I am
happy to discuss it. Obviously, there's boundaries, but touch wood, I've only had I think I've probably had 2 or 3 clients ask what I would deem inappropriate questions. I I work in a huge range of businesses, and from construction organizations where, well, some of the language is perhaps a little bluer than it is in some of the corporate stuff that I do, through to healthcare environments or defense environments. And whilst I think that perhaps there's a difference in the way that the questions are asked, the polite curiosity remains roughly the same. And people want to know, like, oh, so are you having surgery and stuff? And I'm like, yeah, clearly need a facelift, because I mean, look at this. It's like I've got room to have gills fitted if ever I decide to be maybe I was supposed to be a mermaid. Who knows? But mermaids are the fish bit on the bottom, aren't they? Not on the top. That'd be a weird mermaid. Legs on the bottom, fish on the top. Sorry, strayed. No, I think that all in all, yeah, I mean, it's not been too bad. I mean, people do ask, and I can decide at the time whether I'm going to say that's none of your business, or be a little bit more honest about it. And you just have to sort of. I just find that I'm judging each of these situations as they come along. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? She's putting her glasses on.
It does. Because I can see some of it, but I'm just checking any messages.
I'm sorry, I can't see any messages. I don't know if it's not scrolling.
No, well, I haven't seen any come through.
No, I mean, I get the feeling that perhaps there's literally nobody watching. This is just you and me talking to each other.
Yeah.
But that's cool. I can live with that. Yeah. So yeah, that was it. I mean, to say it's not really a coming out story. I sort of, because I was out of work as soon as I was out to family, and then it was just a case of, with people that didn't know me previous, just bringing them up to speed with where things were. I think I had one client who Pippa's still here. Hi, Pippa. I think I had one client who was should we say perhaps a little nervous about me coming in, and
Wendy's here too.
Oh, Wendy's here as well. Hi, Wendy.
Hi, Wendy.
Yeah, I think, I had one client who was a little nervous, and eventually I had to speak to him and say, listen, I'm not just going to turn up in 6-inch stripper heels, fishnets, and a plastic miniskirt, because I think that was perhaps part of the impression that they had of what it meant to be trans. But as it happens, I went in and it was business as usual. The bulk of people have said, I mean, the phrase that gets said quite a lot is, why would we care? It makes no difference to us. You're doing your job. As long as you can do the job, we don't care. So yeah, I suppose it was quite reassuring actually to know that I am reasonably good at my job, enough to sort of maintain the work, regardless of the mess that I look on a daily basis. Right. So we are about half an hour into our stream this evening, and we're here to answer your questions. The topic really has been around coming out at work, but as ever, we're happy to take any and all questions that you have. I'm just having a quick look now. Let's have a look through and see if we've got any on the tweets. Oh, we've got a question on Twitter from Samuel. Do you remember Samuel? I think Samuel was here the other week, wasn't he? Remember Samuel?
Yes, I remember Samuel.
Yeah, we remember Samuel. Samuel's cool. When a new work colleague asks what I am, and he's put, what I am, frowny face. I'm just like everyone else. Why is that so hard for people to get? No, actually. I think that's a difficult question to answer, isn't it? Why is it so difficult for people to understand that, as we're just the same as everyone else?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get the question. From my point of view, coming out of work, I was an established colleague, so I didn't have an issue there. But outside of work, and particularly with my family, it's kind of, words that aren't very nice and kind of objectify you and things. But yeah, in work, I haven't had anyone who's been that
Blunt.
horrible. So I think, yeah, I mean, obviously it depends where you work.
I think so. I think that probably makes quite a big difference, doesn't it? But
absolutely. I mean, yeah, because I work in an office, everyone's expected to be polite and respectful.
Yeah.
And we always are, of course.
I think, if memory serves, I think Samuel works in retail. But I'm not entirely sorry. 2 seconds. I'm just trying to, let's copy that, paste that. There we go. So professional. I am on this professionalism thing tonight, I tell you. I suppose the question though is, not so much just about work, is it? Why does it take people so long to sort of just get to grips with the idea that we are who we are? And I think there's two types of situation, isn't there? There's a situation where it's people who've known you perhaps prior to transition, which I think is fairly self-explanatory, that suddenly there's a change in their perception of you because your presentation's changed, or your name has changed, or whatever it might be. And that's, I think that's sort of par for the course, really, that people need a little bit of time to adjust. But when it's new people who don't know you, then I think that's largely just down to, and they're asking questions, sorry, new people that don't know you are asking questions like, what are you? I think it's largely down to ignorance as opposed to arrogance sometimes.
Well, maybe also manners.
Manners are a funny thing. Yeah, but you say that. I mean, the thing with manners is that I think a lot of people don't necessarily realize that what they're saying is rude.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's if people don't understand what the boundaries are,
yeah,
if they haven't got the right concept of that, then they might not realize they're being rude. So yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
I've just been told by, of all people, by my mum actually, that there's something wrong with the link. Apparently, let's
put it up on my phone, which is it's over there.
No, you haven't got it either. Have I got the link? What is the link? Must be down here somewhere. No, that is the link. Yeah, but it doesn't seem to work.
I can't really see that, but we are playing on YouTube.
Yeah, I know, I can see it. Yeah, and we've got some people, just for some reason that link isn't working for me mum. That's probably for the best. She doesn't need to see this. She doesn't need to see the state that I look today after going to the gym.
Right. Anyway,
sorry, we've strayed from the topic. We're talking about my mum. But again, though, Liz, I mean, I know it sounds really stupid, but I tweeted something last night, and it was just a stupid little cartoon drawing. I'll see if I can find it in a minute, and I'll put it on screen.
It was really cool.
And it does sum up, I think, quite a lot of the problem. Is that even we were talking the other day about, estimates of how many trans people there were in the UK, and with the best will in the world, even if we said around 1%, which I personally, just from the people I know, I think is probably a little bit high, you're still odds on that a lot of people haven't ever met a trans person, or use my phrase correctly, knowingly met a trans person. And that can absolutely mean that all they know is what they see in media, be that, portrayals in films. I mean, for God's sake, you've got films like the Dallas Buyers Club. You've got films, what's the one with Eddie Redmayne? What's it called?
Danish Girl?
Yes. Good film. There's a photo somewhere where I took a selfie and there was a Danish Girl poster behind me. I literally got photobombed by Eddie Redmayne on a poster, which was a bit of a wind-up, but whatever. But, sometimes that is people's only interaction. And I think it's the same even perhaps with things like Drag Race now, because Drag Race has become bigger and bigger television. It's on BBC, for heaven's sake, Drag Race UK. And again, I think that people sort of perhaps connect the dots a little bit incorrectly.
Mm-hmm.
And until they've actually met, let's face it, boring trans woman, that's the only impression that they have. What were you pulling your face at? Boring?
Probably least boring person I know.
I'm not whatever. I'm so boring. I'm like so dull. But yeah, I think that's a lot of the issue. So I don't know. I suppose the answer is just keep, you know, being honest with people about who you are. Keep being visible. I mean, no, you don't have to walk around waving a pink, white, and blue flag or even a rainbow. You know, it's great. Yay, let's all wave rainbow flags. It's brilliant. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't have to be ashamed about who you are. And if you know, if somebody asks me outright, "Are you transgender?" I'm not going to lie to them about it. Do you know what I mean? She's nodding, hopefully.
I do. No, and you know, I'm really open about it, which is why I did a couple of sessions at work, just talking about my journey and stuff.
Yeah.
So, and you know, one of the bits of feedback was this woman who she'd been talking about it around the around dinner with her family, and she sort of used some of the things I'd spoken about to dispel some myths.
Oh, really?
And it was, you know, it's fabulous. It was that, you know, they'd taken it away.
Yeah.
And shared it.
That's really cool. I mean, that's, you know, at the end of the day, that's the point of so much of this, isn't it? And, you know, I did a talk at Tesco, and I probably mentioned once or twice that I'm involved in a big project in the city at the moment as well. And the idea isn't for us just to have it. It's not like what Pride has become. It's not, again, waving rainbows and having a good drink and having a nice time. It's actually connecting with people and giving them, you know, real insight and hopefully information that they can use to help their understanding. And then slowly but surely, that trickles down the chain as well.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I would say, though, is that there are some trans people who just want to just get on with their lives, live in style.
Absolutely.
And you know, that's cool. I'm happy
really
to be
cool.
I'm happy to be open about my journey and the fact that I'm trans, because other people have done it before me, and you know, made the world got us into a situation where I was brave enough to come out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, we are quite a few years down the line. Oh, we've got a hello, Jessica. We are 50 years are we on from Stonewall, and you know, at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that have come before our generation, that have given us the ability to actually be in this position now. So you know, we should feel lucky. We do have a question on this Q&A. How peculiar. We have a question from Wendy, and she wants to know, were pronouns a problem, or did people just automatically start using the right ones? I'm assuming we're talking about at work.
Yeah. Over to me.
Well, I mean, were is not the case. Pronouns are still a problem. 100%.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would say because I'd actually been with my company for 13 years.
Really?
And the team of people I worked with, in terms of length of service, was between sort of 5 years and a year.
Okay.
And it was quite a small team. So, you know, inevitably there were some slip-ups.
Yeah.
Interestingly, they never got my name wrong.
No.
But it was just
That's funny you say that, because I think I've had the same experience actually.
Yeah, but it was weird because they were, and it was accidental. It was purely accidental.
Yeah, habitual.
You could see the immediate horror on their face, and they'd correct instantly.
I know.
You know, but I think it was just, I think you just get used to that language.
Yeah.
And
well, that's the thing, isn't it?
Talking about someone in that way.
I think there's this impression, isn't there, that, you know, of this angry trans person who is forever, every time somebody slips the wrong he or she or they turn around, did you just assume my gender, and did you respect my pronouns? I don't know about you, but I've never done that. I mean, well, I did once actually with a customer service guy who was really annoying me. So I thought, you know what? I'm not having this. It's been.
I did it with. I had that with customer service at Tesco, dare I say?
No, Tesco.
But it was very early on, and I did I did complain, and I spoke to them, and they were like, "Can you tell us what member of staff it was?" And and I said, "No, look, I don't want to grass them up because
no, of course not.
What I would rather you do is look at maybe doing some diversity training."
Yeah.
And they were like, "Yeah, thank you."
And then they phoned me and got me in to go and do diversity
No,
training.
but it was like 5 years ago. It was 5 years ago. You were still
okay, well, they're still doing it. So yeah, it's good to know. But on
you know,
they have listened to what you're saying, haven't they? And they've done something about it. So
yeah, and you know, now, well, it didn't take long after that that it really changed. And I think they went from, I mean, personally, I think it was a bit of a kick up the backside for them because, you know, they've got a team in there that was, you know, gassing while you're waiting or on the phone, you know, on the mobile. And that all stopped almost overnight. And
really?
and I think they just, you know, they'd let the ball drop a bit on the service experience.
Yeah.
So
it does happen, doesn't it? I mean, I had a similar issue at another supermarket who shall remain nameless, where, I mean, this was, you know, early days. Again, it was probably about, coming to think of it, 4 or 5 years ago. And I was trying to buy some cigarettes. That's how long ago it was. I was still smoking. I was trying to buy some cigarettes. And have I told this story? I think I've told this story before, you know. And I got to the counter and the person at the counter asked me for ID. Now, I've only had my driving license updated for, well, just over a year, say. So I explained quite, you know, gently, this is me, this is my ID, and I'm transgender and I'm waiting for my ID to be updated and blah, blah, blah. Normally, to like what I would consider to be an average leveled intelligence human being, one would say, fair enough, no worries, just... You're clearly over, I mean, let's be crystal clear as well. I'm clearly over 16. But anyway, whatever. This person decided it was going to be a problem. And that's what they told me. They said, oh, no. I think this is going to be a problem. So I tried to deflate the situation very quickly by saying, look, it's not going to be a problem. It's obviously me, and I've explained, no. And then what happened next beggars belief. I still struggle to understand how one would think this was appropriate. This person shouts across the store to a colleague, "Oi!" Oi. She might not have said oi, I might be exaggerating. This bloke's trying to buy fags and he don't look like his picture. I mean, where do you even start to unpack what is wrong with that sentence? Right?
Well, that's similar to my experience.
Yeah, I think I think we've probably all had similar experiences at some point. But anyway, the upshot is, I think that, you know, like with you, it was a case of, yeah, you know, maybe we should complain. Maybe there is somebody who needs to get told off for this. Eventually, it didn't matter for the record. Another lady came over to the counter and said, what on earth are you doing? Just give the nice lady her cigarettes. And I sort of took my cigarettes and went and cried in the car. That's very pleasant. But whatever. I think we've all done it, right?
You know, I think it is worse when you're just coming out because you're so conscious of people looking at you, and you know, it's really hard.
I think I've drawn a graph before, actually, where you've got time runs along this axis, and then along the axis at the top, you've got amount of, I'm not allowed to swear, but amount of F's given, and as the as time sort of increases, the number of F's that one has left to give definitely drops off. But no, I didn't see the point of making an example of her, because the reality is, like we were saying earlier, the odds are it's the first time she's met, or knowingly met, I should say, a trans person. And no, she probably didn't handle herself exactly how she'd like to have. She might have, I don't know, maybe she was just that way out. Some people are just that way out, right? Get over it. I mean, it's like anything. You're going to find arseholes, for want of a better word, in any community, aren't you?
I love Jessica's comment. She's put, regarding pronouns, people slip up. I choose to view it as being like a child calling the teacher mum, which I have done myself.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah.
And that's how I choose to view it. And I think that's really nice.
That's a really nice philosophy.
Yeah.
I like it.
I also like Jessica's other comment, being open, visible and authentic to yourself is massive for the wider community. And it is, because absolutely. there were people that I saw that were out and open, and that encouraged me to take the first steps myself.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's it's not necessarily just encouragement either, is it? But it's, you know, it's giving some sort of idea of hope. It's showing you that what you are, you know, what you need to go through is possible. It's knowing that other people, if other people can do it, and you know, there's no reason that you can't. I think we've got there are some incredible role models in our community now. I mean, with people like Charlie, for instance, Charlie Martin. I mean, not only is the woman an extraordinary racing driver, but you know, she's an absolutely invaluable resource in terms of standing up for the rights of trans people, particularly, you know, trans women in sport. She's weighed in big on that debate. We're not going to get involved in that debate tonight, actually. You know, and then you've got people like, I mean, Hannah Graff. I think she's Hannah Graff MBE, sorry. You know, which she's the highest ranking transgender person in the military. You know, it just goes to show that there's no barriers out there. There's nothing that, you know, you can't do, because frankly, it's quite a difficult thing to have to keep saying this, but you're just like everyone else. Trans people are just like all the other people. We're all just normal people. So anyway, yeah, that's I don't know. Maybe not, or maybe not me. Maybe I'm not normal.
So I'm going to have to practice this pointing, because
I can turn this. I think there's a way to turn her camera off. Look, I don't.
No,
I wouldn't do that to you. So yeah, guys, honestly, we're here to answer your questions. It's been quite an interesting chat, actually. So it's been nice to sort of have a chance to share a little bit of both our stories and the differences.
My voice seems to have recovered slightly as well.
Your voice has recovered. I told you. You just got
to talking. Do you know, I've had 3 conference calls at work today, and
have you really? Yeah, it's been a bit of a conference call heavy day, actually. I do feel like I've spent the bulk of my day talking to a computer, just talking to a laptop. We might as well get used to it. That's the way the world's going.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
no, I don't want it to go like that. I prefer being around people. But anyway.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I think what you're talking about is cognizance, and I think that's really important, actually. Having people face to face, there's so much more goes on than when even like this, where, let's face it, this is pretty interactive. We're talking to each other in real time. We can see one another, but it's not the same as being actually physically in somebody's presence. There's still some subtle nuances. On the bright side, you should think yourself lucky you're not in my presence, because I just got back from the gym and it's not pleasant. I'm not going to lie. I didn't take my trainers off because I won't be able to breathe in here. But yeah, I mean, oh, sorry, I'm just seeing what Pippa's put down there. People are people and no one should be judged. Yeah, sums it up, doesn't it, really?
Pippa.
Well, I mean, you can't not agree with Pippa. She's absolutely right. It's just, unfortunately, you know, it's very difficult to sort of spread that message that we're just like everybody else. We're not sick, we're not twisted, we're not mentally ill. I mean, I'm sure there is a lot of, you know, mental health issues within the trans community. So there's a lot of mental health issues within any community. But, you know, there's nothing, to be crystal clear, I was going to say there's nothing wrong with me. That's not true.
No, there isn't.
In my case, that's simply not true. But you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with me, is there? Or you, I don't think. Apart from you've got a sore throat, but you know, other than that, you're...
No, it's fine. Are we
normal? Are we normal-ish? Normal-ish?
Do you know what? I don't. Do you know? I don't know. Actually, I do wonder if trans people are just amazingly special. No offense to any cis people.
No, it's true. I don't know. I think my mum says I'm special. That's, you know, that's basically.
You know what I find really weird? People think I'm amazing, and I think I'm pretty normal and.
This isn't true. You are awesome, and you know this. You know you are.
No, but I think you know, things that I've done, like flying out to Thailand on my own to have surgery in a foreign country that's got a completely alien language, albeit they all speak English.
No, they speak American.
You know, and I get scared of using the phone sometimes because I just get a bit paranoid about my voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that.
Mm.
You know, that long
I know, it's crazy.
It's just a weird thing to do, but it's yeah, I think
it's like crazy stuff, isn't it? You know, I think we've spoken about this before, but swimming was a huge worry. But you know, once it's done, it's fine. You go swimming, and then before you know where you are, I'm worried about I don't know. I'm worried about going to the gym, and I think, well, hang on a minute. I've basically been in water in public in what amounts to underwear. Why am I even worried about going to the gym? You know, where I'm going to have
wear your underwear there.
Well, I do. Don't start. Well, anyway, what we were talking about, sorry, is that there is a difference between what we do here and what we do with in-person support. I don't know. Are you happy? I think it's time to announce it. I'm currently taking on a project which, again, my lovely friend, who I love, thank you, has kindly agreed to help with launching a project in association with Tesco to offer in-person support to the trans community, and of course to our allies and family and friends and so on and so forth. There's going to be more information about this, and we'll put some comments up. No doubt you'll see it all over Twitter, because everything is all over Twitter these days, and Insta and everywhere else. You know how it is. But yeah, I think that the idea is that it's just doing more of that visibility. You know, it's just doing more of that being visible stuff. This project has been designed specifically not to be behind closed doors, not to be in sort of secret members only societies and this, that, and the other. This is in a public space. It is in an area where we can actually just be ourselves in a community, getting support from one another, and you know, helping each other with our experiences where we can. So that's a really exciting project. I'm really genuinely excited about it. And I can tell. Yeah, I think you're so glad you know me, aren't you? We're friends like me, eh?
Yeah, I love you.
Right, guys, we've got a few minutes left because we're getting close to 8 o'clock here in the UK. So we've got a few minutes left. If there's anything else anybody wants to ask or talk about, I'm just going to have a quick scan through whilst I've got you online, just to see if
there's nothing on Twitter that I can see.
No, me either. I can't see an awful lot on the Twitter or on the Facebook. In fact, I think I'm fairly sure that once again, we've put a lot of effort in. And nobody has watched. There's a few people who are genuinely loyal, and thank you, obviously, to Pippa, Wendy, and Jessica. Was it Jessica? I think it was Jessica as well. Yes, it was Jessica. Oh, guys, it's so nice that you're actually here and getting involved in this. You know what? Since you're here, why not tell everybody else? Spread the word. Let people know that we're doing this, because at the end of the day, there's a million and one topics that people don't have an outlet to discuss, and we desperately want to offer as much as we can in terms of an outlet for that. So yeah, please, you know, subscribe to the channel. Liz, I think we should set a separate channel up for this, because it still comes up on my channel.
We should. I'll
sort that out in amongst everything else. And what I might try and do is stick a broom up my backside so I can sweep the floor whilst I'm doing it. Yeah. So,
no, that doesn't work.
Does it not?
No.
So, thank you so much, Jessica. Thank you for your input. And we're not awesome.
Enjoy your dinner.
So yeah, enjoy dinner. Dinner would be nice. I know we do. We put so much time and effort. We put so much time and effort into
that. Sit here.
You are sitting there, to be fair, and you were poorly today, so obviously I'm massively
I'm amazed my voice has held out.
You see, this is it. This is motivation. This is what's wrong with the world, is that people wait for the perfect moment to do things. The upshot is get off your backside, start doing it, and the motivation will come as soon as it needs to. It's not motivation to get started you need, it's motivation to keep going, and getting started is the easy bit, right? It's a bit like jumping out of an airplane. The way I look at it, it's a bit like jumping out of an airplane. Falling, like getting out of the door is the easy bit. It's the next few thousand feet and then that little stop at the bottom that are going to be hard. Yeah, they're the bits you need to stay awake for. So yeah, maybe that's a terrible analogy for life. Life is a bit like jumping out of an airplane.
I think it is for you, Sammie.
I think we're straying from topic a little bit. Anyway, yeah, guys, please do comment, like, subscribe, and share, because without your input, this is basically, you know, a lot of effort and just two good friends talking to one another, which is great. I like talking to you. I've always liked talking to you. You're an easy person to talk to. But it would be really cool to have, you know, a little bit more input and any more people that we can help along the way, the better. So yeah, long and the short of it, Liz, is there anything else that you want to cover off on tonight's topic, or should we park it for tonight?
I think we'll probably park it because my dinner's probably sticking to the bottom of the pan.
Dinner. Yeah, I might go and have that. I need to wash actually as well. Yeah,
you definitely do. I can sense it.
Literally, the screen looks a little greener than usual down at the bottom here. I don't know if that's anything to do with it. But whatever. Right, guys, thank you so much. As ever, peace and love to everybody, and see you all soon. Take care, guys. Bye.